All right, welcome to GenXDC. This is the place where we talk about all things Washington, D.C. in the 70s and 80s. I'm Spencer, producer of the WGTS 91.9 morning show with Jerry and Blanca, and I am joined by...
I'm Dan Lucota. I'm the former morning show producer at WMAL Radio. I worked with Hardin Weaver, Tim Brandt, Andy Parks, many years at that institution here in D.C. area. Today, we are going to talk about commercials.
Yes.
Local commercials that we grew up watching. Mm-hmm. And one of my favorites was this one called Kent Mill Records. Kent Mill Records was this record store that was on Kent Mill Road in Wheaton. Now it was a franchise. There were many locations around this area, but it started out there in Kent Mill Road and Wheaton again. And they had this craziest, obnoxious sounding commercial that was great. You looked at this record, this record player, and this record's turning around, and this obnoxious voice goes, "It's $9.99." Then a hammer hits it, breaks the record. "It's $8.99." Breaks the record. "It's $7.99." Breaks the record again. "It's $6.99." Every day, keeps hitting the record till the record's destroyed. The record player is destroyed, and this obnoxious voice is going, "Every day, low prices at Kent Mill Records, $5.99, $6.99." It was obnoxiously a blast.
Very much like the monster trucks of today, those commercials. They get you all pumped up and you're ready to go. Oh, and yeah. And I know you went there a number of times.
Well, I did. And the first record I ever bought for myself, I used to cut grass. That was the thing I did. I'd cut grass. I'd go to little neighbors.
Right.
And
I had allergies.
I went over to my friend Randy's house, who lived in Wheaton. And we went to rode our bikes down to Kent Mill Records on Kent Mill Road. And I went in there expecting, I was going to buy my first record and expecting to see that guy that did that voice behind the counter. I was a little naive in those days. Yeah. So I was like, I went in there. I'm like, yes, it's the guy, long hair dude in the ponytail. I'm like, yes. And I got my Van Halen album. My first album was Van Halen 2.
Oh, wow.
Van Halen 2, which is pretty, for today. But anyway, Van Halen 2. I go up to the counter. I'm like, I'm waiting on that voice. It's amazing. It's incredible. The guy's like, "Hey, man, how you doing?" I'm like, "It's not the guy. It's not the guy." Like, oh, man.
Yeah, he's in Burbank, I think. Probably does it to all the cities.
Yeah, it does the same thing to all the cities. Well, that's one that stood out to me. But how about you? I know you got some.
Sure. Oh, I got a lot of them. But I would say one of my favorites, if not my favorite, was the June Ree Taekwondo commercials. Oh, yeah. I know you remember these, right?
Yeah.
So you'd be watching Channel 20 and watching like cartoons or something. All of a sudden, this Taekwondo commercial would come out. And this big muscle guy come out. And it was June Reed, and he would do karate, and this incredible song would come on. It would tell you to call, 1-800-USA-1000. I'm not going to sing it for you, but I got to tell you, it's a really cool song, gets you pumped up. And at the end of the commercial, he has his daughter and his son, and they both say, "Nobody bothers me. Nobody bothers me either." And then they wink. That's right. And But I loved how he said, "Nobody bothers me," because I was like, you know what? If I took Taekwondo, nobody's going to bother me.
Exactly.
So I told my parents I want to go take Taekwondo, and they said, "Nah, that's all right." So,
but I know you must have done like a lot of kids did when they saw that commercial. They would do the fake.
Absolutely.
The fake fighting around,
Absolutely.
Jump on the couch, doing a sideway kick thing and everything.
Yep.
What's really cool about that commercial, seeing them, I'm a huge music fan.
Mm-hmm.
Niels Lofgren did the theme for that. He did their commercial jingle.
Well, he lived in this area, right?
Yes. Well, he went to Bethesda High School, born and raised here. Well, I shouldn't say he wasn't born here, but he was raised here from a young age. He, this is home for him.
But he also sung Bullets Fever. Remember when the Bullets won the championship?
Yes. He comes back here all the time. He used to play at the Birchmere before COVID.
Right.
But yeah, you want to catch him. Great to see in concert.
All right, so that's somebody I want to see with you when we start having concerts again. That's somebody we got to put on our list.
Count on it. And Bruce. He's going to.
All right. Well, what about you? You have another commercial that sticks out for you?
For me, it's one of those things that we don't have anymore. But Belmont TV.
I remember Belmont.
Belmont TV was a store where you could go in and get tubes for your television. I know, guys. Tubes, really? Are we that old?
We did this. Yeah.
We're not that old, but there were tubes back in the day, or televisions, or antennas, things that we needed to catch the signal to be able to watch TV. And there were Belmont TV was around, and again, it was a TV commercial. It was not as obnoxious as Kent Mill, but it still was this guy, this voice, Belmont TV. I mean, the way he paced it and said it stood out in your head, Belmont TV. And the one that I knew of was in Wheaton. It's right up just before you get into right before you get to university.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Georgia, coming up university. If you know the area, you guys.
And that's the one we went to too.
Ever come over this way? You can get into Wheaton area.
We should mention we both grew up in Adelphi. That's why we didn't go to the Virginia location.
Yes. But you folks out there, throw us some ideas. We'll be happy to talk about things in Virginia. Patriot Center. But anyway, things over there. But the Belmont TV store now is a Benjamin Moore paint store. I know that for a fact because I was there recently. I was like, oh, this used to be Belmont TV. Not anymore. But yeah, Belmont TV is one that stood out to me. It was just that sound, back when you had to go get the antenna. But we used to be the remote controls for the TV. Hey,
yes, Dan, we were.
On channel 20, please.
And remember UHF, you had to.
Yep, you had to push the button and turn. It was a different antenna for the
right.
Like, for certain stations. And
anybody 30 years old or under has no idea what we're talking about.
Oh, exactly. So, what about you?
So of course, I know we were both big Redskin fans growing up because they actually won when we were kids. I know a lot of kids nowadays don't realize that, but I remember in 1983 when they had just won the Super Bowl, there was this awesome commercial, and I say awesome as a kid, I loved it. Probably it was kind of cheesy to most people, but it had Mark May from the Redskins, offensive lineman, and Joe Jacoby, the left tackle for the Redskins.
Yes, I know.
And they would open it up, and Joe Jacoby should be in the Hall of Fame. Probably not going to win any Oscar awards. Probably does not deserve to win an Oscar award. But it was great. I'm Mark May, and I'm Joe Jacoby of the world champion Washington Redskins. And I'll get pumped up every time I saw it because I just like hearing world champion Washington Redskins. Mm-hmm. Well, the next year they didn't win the Super Bowl. They lost to the Raiders. So they edited out world champion, and they put NFC champion Washington Redskins. The next year they won the Eastern Division champion Washington Redskins. Then the next year, they didn't even make the playoffs. So the commercial went, I'm Mark May and Joe Jacoby of the Washington Redskins. There was nothing there. And I was like, oh, man, you better get to the Super Bowl. And, of course, they did a few years later.
Yes, I do remember that. And they're like real stiff.
Right.
Staying there. And, folks, the big screen TVs were a big deal when we were kids.
They were.
We had a 46-inch TV. That was big screen TV.
Absolutely.
But they were.
And if you had color.
Color, exactly. They were standing on each side of us.
We had a black and white.
We had that for a minute. My dad was like, you got to get color TV. But they were standing on either side of this big television. I was like, you too can own this large screen TV.
Yes.
Like, okay, guys. But it was so cool because they were so well known in this area that, oh, cool.
And I never thought in my life I would have a big screen TV because I thought they were like $1 million because this is like 80. So I'm probably about 12 years old when the commercial first comes on.
Yes.
And I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to have a big screen TV. Now everybody has big screen TV.
Yeah. That would be considered a small screen TV.
Right.
They were like projection too. So they weren't that vivid. Like now you have these vivid TVs. Then it was just sort of, you could make everything out fine, but it's not as crisp as it is now.
Right. Well, what about you? What's another one of your commercials from the 70s and 80s in DC?
You're going to love this. As soon as I say it, you're going to know. The Q107 lip.
I saw the smirk on your face, so I could tell exactly where you were going with that one.
Yes, the Q107 lip.
Yes, I remember it well.
Oh, my goodness. So the folks out there who haven't seen this, look this up. And actually, all these you can find on YouTube. So take your time. It's fun to look this stuff up, especially these days where it's kind of like you're kind of frustrated looking at everything on the news, what have you. Mm-hmm. Go to YouTube, look up the stuff we're talking about. It's fun. You'll smile. But the Q107 Lip Girl. Q107 was a pop station here in the DC area. And then Top 40, I think is what they called it. It later became Mix 107. But they had these, high energy DJs on there. So one of the names was Uncle Johnny. Hey, it's Uncle Johnny. We're listening tonight. Here is you too, whatever it was.
You do that very well. That's
so Q107 Lip Girl was this beautiful, lovely lady.
Right.
She was Chris De Silva. What was her name?
She could have been in WKRP in Cincinnati. She could have been Jennifer.
Yes, I can't remember her name. But she did a lot of different, the same commercial, a lot of different markets.
Right.
But the camera, she's talking, something about the hits on Q107, and it's her voice.
Right.
And you zoom in, they get tighter and tighter onto her lips, which are very luscious. And so as she's talking, it changes into the breaks that the DJs would do on Q107. So it's her beautiful lips just moving to what the DJs are saying. There's Uncle Johnny going, hey, we'll see that night. And her lips are moving to I didn't even know what she was saying at that point. I was just mesmerized by her beautiful lips and my mom going, "Turn that off. Turn that off."
Right.
But it was great marketing, and they even had bus backs
Mm-hmm.
and signage around the local area.
Yes.
With her face, saying Q107. She was that iconic for that, that radio.
Do you remember the Q107 jingle?
I don't.
I'm not gonna sing it, but it was like something like Q107. It's happening right on cue. Something like that.
Okay. I was mesmerized by her lips. They hypnotized me. Was that an effective commercial, though? Well, it had to have been.
I still remember it. You still remember it.
Remember Q107, so
That's right.
To this day, Yeah. Well,
now, of course, you later on went to work for the sister station, WMAL. Was there any connection there that you wanted to meet her? That you went to WMAL?
I had my the naivety was gone at that point, if that's a word. I realized that she won't be in the building. Too bad. Yeah, that was something else. Yeah, Mix 107 was our sister station.
All right, well, you know what, Dan, this is incredible. I love this. I love talking Washington, D.C. area commercials. Incredible. If you all have commercials, we want to hear from you. Yes. What commercials did you grow up in the D.C. area that you liked? Even if you didn't grow up in the D.C. area, maybe the Where's the Beef Lady? Oh, yeah. Did you like that commercial? Remember, that was like 82.
In the back of the car, where's the beef?
That's right. Where's the beef?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I like that commercial. Or do you have any Grey Poupon?
Oh, great. I still do that.
Do you? That was 80s, too. That's early 80s, I think.
Sometimes I could be accused of being stuck in the 80s. It could be, it's a thing.
So Dan and I are both stuck in the 80s. We got to talking one day, and we couldn't stop talking, literally. Yeah, we started talking about everything DC, got to talking about Lito's Pizza, went to the original Lito's Pizza, which is now in College Park, because we both grew up in Adelphi. Yes. But we went to the one in College Park, and we just talked everything from commercials to TV shows, just everything. Yeah. And on the next episode, we will be bringing you, what would you like to talk about on the next episode, Dan?
Since we talked about Belmont TV, TVs, Channel 20. Channel
20, the great entertainer we'll talk about on the next edition of GenXDC. We hope to get your comments below, and see you next time.